Good afternoon. This is Kira Schultz, and I am with Emma Rose Taven at RIT on May 20th, 2023. As part of the Lambda Network at Kodak Reunion, we are conducting brief oral history interviews with Lambda members. Who am I speaking with today?
Hi, my name is Felix Blanco.
All right, Felix. And how did you become involved with Lambda?
Oh boy, when I started working for Kodak, I became friends with other people that were in the network. And back then, it was very different. We didn't have an intranet or anything. It was a little bit more difficult to connect with people. So I remember this black screen with green letters, and text input, and I just typed Lambda at Kodak, and some names came up. I just reached out to some of them, and I said, could you tell me more about what this is all about? And that's how it started.
That's amazing. And we've been told that you designed the logo for Lambda. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you did that, why you did it?
That was a long time ago too, yes. If you see the logo is a combination of a circle with the Lambda in the middle, and then a rainbow coming out of it. But what I wanted to do was to inject some of the transformation that Kodak was trying to do at that time, with the digital transformation. And I wanted to create the rainbow coming apart in pixels. Like back then, in my opinion as a designer, I wanted to include the digital part, and also each one of those pixels was representing the diversity within the LGBT community.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to put all of that meaning behind it, and I slanted it in a way that it was active and dynamic. I wanted to bring more energy and dynamism to the brand that Lambda was trying to project. And I put the film strip in the back. If you can see, there's the little you can see the holes on the film strip. So.
That's a really great combination of, I feel like, after talking with so many members of Lambda today, of how they feel about what they did and who they are as individuals and as a group. So it's really cool to hear from you as the designer of this really awesome logo.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then a question for you is, do you have any favorite memories with working with the Lambda Network?
Oh boy. I was the president-elect of the last generation of the Kodak people there. Last meaning before the Kodak changed and disintegrated in all the different pieces. But I would say the most fun memories is when I was working with the board to plan the events. Like we had an annual event every year that will bring a speaker from a different place. We'll plan what will be the program, what will be the main objectives, and come up with the details about it, the specifics, the actual program itself. Sometimes we brought like interactive things for the audience to vote on questions, and sometimes we'll want infuse more emotion into it, and we'll share some touchy stories, some personal stories. Sometimes we wanted to do like fun games and video games or like TV shows, and it was always fun to do that. The other fun part was working on the floats for Gay Pride. Actually designing the float. I was always the one sketching ideas and coming up with like, what do we do this? What do we do that? I remember one of the times I said, why don't we just create the Kodak building and just march with it? They all were like, what? How do we do it? And I started sketching, and we're like, oh yeah, we have some people that know how to use tools, and so we created a whole tower of the Kodak office. We painted the rainbows. We had a lot of fun doing it.
That's so cool. That is really, really cool. All right. My next question is, what did your participation with Lambda mean to you, both at the time and today?
Well, I think that at the time I was trying to come up with terms with my own sexuality and how I belonged in a corporate environment, because that was my first corporate job. I wasn't sure if it was safe to be out. I wasn't sure how my peers will take it. I was just out of school, out of RIT, and I didn't really know how safe it was to be out. I wasn't actually even sure if I was out to myself yet. So it was a whole perspective of coming to terms with myself, and then coming to terms of being me with others.
That's a really great story to hear. My last question for you is there anything else you want us to know about Lambda?
I would say that to me, Lambda was ahead of many other organizations of similar manner. But it was because of what Kodak brought in, with everybody. Kodak was like a big family, and we all saw each other as a family. And doing things together with them, it almost felt like anything could be done. And that's how we started doing so many new things that all the companies hadn't done before, like when we advocated for same-sex bathrooms. Back in those years, it was unheard of, and Kodak was supporting it. When we started making sure that people that was working in the darker rooms would feel safe on being in darker environments with others, that was something that was also very important. So there were so many things that Kodak was innovating with Lambda. That was almost ironic that Lambda was pushing for some things and Kodak was helping us, but also not moving forward with digital as much as people in Lambda wanted to take Kodak forward. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's my view. That I think that Kodak infused a lot of power into LGBT people because of the family that I provided to all of us, and the safety and the outreach that it had for the brand that it was, and the kind of people that were working for them.
That's an incredible story. Thank you, Felix.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions for him, Emma Rose?
No, I'm absorbing everything.
I know. Thank you again so much for sitting down with us
No
today.
worries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.